This is the Daf Yomi for February 18th, Tuesday, 2025. We're in Sanhedrin 63. So it says, Rabbi Ami says, if one sacrificed an animal as an idolatrous offering and burned incense and poured a libation, all in the course of one lapse of awareness, he is obligated to bring only one sin offering. Abaye says, what is the reason for the opinion of Rabbi Ami? The verse states, nor worship them, Exodus 20, verse 5. The verse renders all the various rites of worship as one rite. The Gemara asks, and does Abaye actually say this? But doesn't Abaye say, why are there three mentions in the Torah of the prohibition against bowing to an object of idol worship? The prohibition against bowing to an idol appears three times. So Exodus 20, verse 5, it says, you shall not bow to them nor worship them. Exodus 23, verse 24, it says, you shall not bow to their gods nor worship them. And Exodus 34, 14, it says, for you shall bow to no other god. The reason is that one mention is for an idol for which bowing is its standard manner of worship, and one mention is a prohibition against bowing to an idol even if bowing is not its standard manner of worship. And one mention is to divide idol worship into categories, as one is obligated to bring an offering for every type of worship that he performed. Evidently, Abaye's opinion is not in accordance with Rabbi Ami's statement that one is obligated to bring one sin offering for all his acts of idol worship. The Gemara answers, Abaye stated his reason in accordance with the statement of Rabbi Ami, but he himself does not hold accordingly. The Gemara discusses the matter itself, that Abaye says, why are three mentions of the prohibition against bowing to an object of idol worship? One is for an idol for which bowing is its standard manner of worship. One is a prohibition against bowing to an idol even if bowing is not its standard manner of worship. And one mention is to divide idol worship into categories. The Gemara asks, why is a verse necessary for the prohibition against bowing to an idol for which bowing is its standard manner of worship? That prohibition is already derived from the verse, take heed to yourself that you not be ensnared to follow them, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? So I will do likewise. Deuteronomy 12, verse 30, which indicates that one is liable for worshiping an idol in the manner that Gentiles worship it. So rather, Abaye's statement should be understood as follows. One mention of the prohibition is for an idol for which its typical manner of worship is similar to bowing, in that the idol was worshipped in an honorable manner, but bowing is not its typical manner of worship, as it is not typically worshipped by bowing. And one mention is a prohibition against bowing to an idol, even if it is not similar to its standard manner of worship at all. And one mention is to divide idol worship into categories. The Mishnah includes among those liable for idol worship one who declares that he accepts an idol upon himself as a god, and one who says to an idol, you are my god. Rav Nachman says that Rabba Bar Avu says that Rav says, once a person said to an idol, you are my God, he is liable even if he did not worship it. The Gemara asks, the transgressor is liable to receive what punishment? If he is liable to receive the death penalty, Rav's statement is superfluous, as this is stated in the Mishnah. Rather, Rav means that one who does so unwittingly is obligated to bring an offering. The Gemara asks, and is this statement true even according to the opinion of the rabbis? But isn't it taught in a Braita? One is obligated to bring a sin offering for unwitting idol worship only for a matter, a transgression that involves an action, such as sacrificing, burning incense, or pouring a libation, or bowing. And Reish Lakish says, who is the Tana who taught bowing among these examples? It is Rabbi Akiva who says that we do not require a significant action in order to render one liable to bring a sin offering. A minimal action is sufficient. By inference, the rabbis who disagree with Rabbi Akiva maintain that we require a significant action. If bowing is not considered a significant action, then all the more so speech alone is not considered a significant action. The Gemara answers, Rav too, when he states that one who says to an idol, you are my God, is obligated to bring a sin offering, he states this according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. The Gemara asks, if Rav states this according to the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, isn't it obvious that the transgressor is obligated to bring a sin offering? This is identical to the halacha of a blasphemer, whom Rabbi Akiva obligates to bring an offering despite the lack of an action. The Gemara answers, Rav states this, lest you say that Rabbi Akiva obligates one to bring an offering for a transgression that does not involve an action only in the case of a blasphemer, as it is written explicitly with regard to a blasphemer that he receives karet, or spiritual excision. In the verse, it says, he blasphemes the Lord, and that soul should be excised from among his people. Numbers 15, verse 30. But here, with regard to one who accepts an idol as his God, where karet is not written explicitly, one might say that he is not obligated to bring an offering. Therefore, Rav teaches us that he is obligated to bring an offering, as the Torah compares the acceptance of an idol as a god to a case of active idol worship, as it is written, They have made themselves a molten calf and have bowed to it and have sacrificed to it and said, These are your gods, Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Exodus 32, verse 8. With regard to the aforementioned verse, Rabbi Yochanan says, Were it not for the vav in the term, which brought you up, giving it a plural form, the haters of the Jewish people, a euphemism used to refer to Jewish people themselves, would have been sentenced to destruction for their idol worship, since they recognized that God had taken them out of Egypt and thought that he had merely made the golden calf his partner. The Jewish people were spared. The Gemara comments, Rabbi Yochanan's opinion is like one side of the following dispute between the Tanaim, so the rabbis from the Mishnah. Others say, were it not for the vav in the term, which brought you up, the haters of the Jewish people would have been sentenced to destruction. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said to him, but isn't anyone who links the name of heaven in something else, so a euphemism for an idol, uprooted from the world? As it is stated, he who sacrifices to the gods, save to the Lord only, shall be utterly destroyed. Exodus 22:19. The fact that the Jewish people included God in their idolatrous statement could not have saved them from destruction. Rather, what is the meaning when the verse states, which brought you up, in the plural? The verse teaches that the Jewish people desired many gods. They were not satisfied with the golden calf alone. The Mishnah teaches, with regard to one who hugs an idol, or one who kisses it, or one who cleans it, or one who sprays water before it, he transgresses a prohibition but is not liable to receive capital punishment. When Rav Dimi came to Eretz Yisrael, to Babylonia, he said that Rabbi Elazar says, for all of these actions one is flogged, with the exception of the cases stated later in the Mishnah of one who vows in an idol's name and one who affirms his statement by an oath in its name. The Gemara asks, what is different about these cases? One who vows in an idol's name and one who affirms his statement by an oath in its name, that the transgressors are not flogged. It is because they are each an example of a prohibition that does not involve an action. These actions too, namely hugging or kissing an idol and the like, are not punishable by lashes. One who performs them violates a general prohibition, and one is not flogged for violating a general prohibition. That is one that contains several prohibitions. So, as this principle is taught in a Braita, from where is it derived that one who eats from an animal before its soul departs is a transgression of a prohibition, so eating the limb of a living animal? So the verse states, you should not eat with the blood, Leviticus 19:26, meaning you should not eat from the animal while its soul, which is referred to in the Torah as its blood, is still within it. The Braita adds, another matter is derived from the verse, you should not eat with the blood. You should not eat the meat of an offering while its blood is still in the bowl, as it has not yet been sprinkled on the altar. The meat of an offering may be eaten by the priest only after its blood is sprinkled. So the Braita continues, Rabbi Dosa says, from where is it derived that although in general after a deceased person is buried, the mourners are provided by others with a meal, others do not provide the mourners with a meal after the burial of those executed by the court? The verse states, you should not eat with the blood, which is interpreted to mean you should not eat a mourner's meal after the burial of one who was executed. So Rabbi Akiva says, from where is it derived with regard to a Sanhedrin that killed a soul, that is, sentenced a person to death, that the judges may not taste anything that entire day that they sentenced him? The verse states, you shall not eat with the blood. So Rabbi Yochanan says, from where is the prohibition against the behavior of a stubborn and rebellious son derived? Well, the Torah states the punishment given to a stubborn and rebellious son, the prohibition against his actions, namely stealing money from his parents, in order to eat a gluttonous meal of meat and wine in the company of lowly men, is not explicit. The verse states, you shall not eat with the blood, which is interpreted to mean that one may not eat in a manner that is punishable by death. This concludes the Braita. And Rabbi Avin bar Chia says, and some say it is Rabbi Avin bar Kahana who says this, for all the prohibitions that the sages derive from this verse, one is not flogged for the transgressing them, as it is a general prohibition that is referring to several different actions. Therefore, since the prohibition against hugging or kissing an idol was also derived from a general prohibition, it should not be punishable by lashes, contrary to the opinion of Rav Dimi. Rather, when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he related a different version of what Rabbi Elazar says. For all of the transgressions listed in the Mishnah, one is not flogged, with the exception of one who vows in an idol's name and one who affirms his statement by an oath in its name. So the Gemara asks, what is different about transgressing those prohibitions for which one is not flogged? It is that they are each an example of a general prohibition, as explained previously. These cases too, namely one who vows or takes an oath in the name of an idol, are included in the prohibition that does not include an action, and therefore the transgressors are not punished by lashes. The Gemara answers, the halacha of Rabbi Eliezer is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who says with regard to a prohibition does not involve an action, that one is flogged for violating it. So it is taught in a Braita with regard to the Paschal offering. The verse states, and you shall not leave any of it until morning, but that which remains of it until morning you shall burn with fire. Exodus 12:10. The verse comes to provide a positive mitzvah to burn the leftover meat after the prohibition against leaving it over was violated. Is to say that one is not flogged for transgressing the prohibition, as any prohibition that can be rectified by the performance of a positive mitzvah does not carry a punishment of lashes. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yaakov says, this is not for that reason. Rather, it is because it is a prohibition that does not involve an action. The transgression is simply the failure to consume all the meat during the allotted time rather than the performance of an action. And one is not flogged for the violation of any prohibition that does not involve an action. The Gemara concludes, by inference, Rabbi Yehuda holds that in general one is flogged for the violation of a prohibition that does not involve an action. It can therefore be inferred that one who vows or takes an oath in the name of an idol is liable to be flogged according to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, even though no action is involved. Okay, the Mishnah teaches with regard to one who vows in the name of an idol and one who affirms a statement by an oath in its name that this person is in transgression of a prohibition. The Gemara asks, from where do we derive that one who vows in the name of an idol and one who affirms his statement by an oath in its name transgresses a prohibition? The Gemara answers, as it is taught in a Braita, that the meaning of the verse, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of your mouth, Exodus 23:13, is that a person may not say to another, wait for me, next to such and such an object of idol worship. The meaning of the statement, neither let it be heard out of your mouth, is that one may not vow in the name of an idol, nor affirm his statement by an oath in its name, nor cause others, such as Gentiles, to vow in its name, or affirm their statements by an oath in its name. Alternatively, the statement, quote, neither let it be heard out of your mouth, end of quote, can be interpreted as a prohibition against one who incites another to worship idols and against one who subverts an entire city to do so. The prohibition against inciting others to engage in idol worship can be derived from this verse. The Gemara asks, why must the prohibition against an inciter be derived from here? It is written explicitly in that regard, in the verse containing the inciter's punishment, and all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more of any such wickedness as this is in your midst. Deuteronomy 13, verse 12. This is clearly a prohibition against inciting others to worship idols. Rather, the verse, neither let it be heard out of your mouth, is a prohibition against one who subverts an entire city to engage in idol worship. This prohibition is not stated elsewhere. The Braita teaches, and one may not cause others, such as Gentiles, to vow in the name of an idol or affirm their statements by an oath in its name. The Gemara comments, the Braita supports the opinion of Shmuel's father, as Shmuel's father says it is prohibited for a person to enter into partnership with a Gentile lest their joint venture leads them to quarrel, and his Gentile partner will be obligated to take an oath to him, and he will take an oath in the name of his object of idol worship, and the Torah states, neither let it be heard out of your mouth, which includes causing a Gentile to take an oath in the name of an idol. Okay. When Ulla came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he lodged in a place called Kal Nevo. Rava said to him, and where did the master lodge? Ulla said to him, in Kalveno. Rav said to him, but isn't it written, and make no mention of the name of other gods? Kal Nevo is the name of an idol. Ulla said to him, this is what Rabbi Yochanan said, with regard to any object of idol worship that is written in the Torah, it is permitted to mention its name. Since one may mention the idol while reading the Torah, it is permitted to mention it altogether. Rava asked, and where is this idol written? Ulla answered, as it is written, Bel bows down, Nevo stoops. Isaiah 46, verse 1. The Gemara asked, and does this mean that if an idol is not written in the Torah, it is not permitted to mention its name? Rav Mesh Shashia raises an objection to this premise from a Mishnah in Tractate Zavim 1.5. If a man saw, that is experienced, one gonorrhea-like discharge that lasted as long as 3 regular gonorrhea-like discharges, which is like the amount of time it takes to walk from the location of the idol Gadyon to Shiloh, which is the amount of time it takes to perform 2 immersions and 2 dryings with a towel, he is ritually impure with the impurity status of a full-fledged Zav. Even though a man generally becomes a Zav only after 3 separate discharges. In any event, the Mishnah mentions the idol Gadyon. Ravina says the idol God is also written in the Bible, as it is written that prepare a table for God. So G-A-D, right? Isaiah 65, verse 11. Rav Nachman says all types of mockery are forbidden except for mockery of idol worship, which is permitted. As it is written, Bel crouches down, Nevo stoops. They stoop, they crouch down together. They could not hold back the burden. Isaiah 46, 1-2. The verse is interpreted as meaning that they crouch in order to defecate and cannot retain their excrement. And it is similarly written, they speak, that is, the inhabitants of Samaria shall be in dread for the calves of Beth-avan, for its people shall mourn over it, and its priests shall tremble for it, for its glory, kavodo, its glory, because it has departed from it. Hosea 10, verses 4-5. Do not read it as its glory, kavodo, rather read it as its burden, kevedo, meaning that the idol is unable to restrain itself from defecating. These are examples of derogatory statements that are permitted only in reference to idols. Rav Yitzchak says, what is the meaning of that which is written? And now they continue to sin, and have made for themselves molten images of their silver according to their own understanding. Idols, all of them the work of the craftsmen. Of them they say, those who sacrifice, men kiss calves. Hosea 13, verse 2. What is the meaning of the expression, according to their own understanding? Kitvunam. According to their own understanding, idols. So the word kitvunam is interpreted as meaning according to their image, katav nitam. And the verse teaches that each and every person would make an image of his God and place it in his pocket. When he would remember it, he would remove it from his bosom and embrace it and kiss it. What is the meaning of the statement, those who sacrifice men kiss calves? So Rabbi Yitzchak of the school of Rabbi Ami says, it means that priests of idol worship would set their eyes on the wealthy, and they would starve the calves that were objects of idol worship and make statues in the image of those wealthy people, and place those statues next to the troughs of the calves, and that they would take those calves outside. And when the calves would see those wealthy people, whose image they were used to see near their troughs, they would run after them and paw them. At this point, the priest would say to that wealthy person, the object of idol worship, the calf, desires you. Let the master come and sacrifice himself to it. The priest would inherit his property. So Rava says, actually that's something I heard about the Roman, one of the Roman Caesars did the same thing. So Rava says, this is not the correct interpretation of the verse, as the wording, those who sacrifice men kiss calves, is unsuitable for that interpretation, since in that case the verse should have stated, they make calves kiss to sacrifice men. Rather, Rava says that the verse is to be understood as follows. Whenever anyone sacrifices his son to an object of idol worship, the priest says to him, the master has sacrificed a great gift, or doron, to the idol. Therefore, he has the right to come and kiss it. The verse means that the reward of those who sacrifice men is to kiss calves. So Rav Yehuda says that Rav says, with regard to the verse describing the people that were settled in Samaria by the Assyrians, it sounds like they're talking about the Samaritans. So, and the men of Babylonia made Sukkot Benot. 2 Kings 17, verse 30. And what is this idol? It is the image of a hen. And the men of Cuth made Nergal. 2 Kings 17, verse 30. And what is it? It is the image of a rooster. And the men of Hamath made Ashima. 2 Kings 17:30. And what is it? It is the image of a bald billy goat. And the Avarites made Nibhaz and Tartak. 2 Kings 17:31. And what are they? The image of a dog and a donkey. And the Sepharvites burned their sons and daughters in the fire to Adram Melech and Anam Melech, the gods of Sepharvaim. 2 Kings 17:31. And what are they? The mule and the horse. And why are they called that? A mule is called Adram Melech because it honors Adar, its master, with its load. that is, because it carries the master's load. And a horse is called Ana Melech, because it responds Ane to its master, assisting him in battle. So ne, right? So Ane. The Gemara relates, the father of Hezekiah, king of Judah, also attempted to do so to him, that is, to burn him as an offering to an idol. But his mother rubbed him with the blood of a salamander, and a creature created out of fire and immune to the effects of wood, whose blood is fireproof. So salamandera, I guess is how to pronounce that. So Rav Yehuda says that Rav says the Jewish people knew that idol worship is of no substance. They did not actually believe in it. And they worshipped idols only in order to permit themselves to engage in forbidden relations in public, since most rituals of idol worship would include public displays of forbidden intercourse. So Rav Meshar Shia raises an objection to the statement from the following verse. Like the memory of their sons are their altars, and their asherim are by the leafy trees upon the high hills, Jeremiah 17 verse 2. And Rabbi Elazar says that this means the Jewish people would recall their idol worship like a person who misses his child. This interpretation indicates that they were truly attached to idol worship. The Gemara answers, this is the case after the Jewish people became attached to idol worship, at which point they began to actually believe it. At first they were drawn to idol worship only due to their lust. The Gemara suggests, come and hear proof that the Jewish people engaged in idol worship for its own sake and not for the sake of engaging in relations. In interpretation of the verse, it says, Leviticus 26:30, and I shall cast your carcasses upon the carcasses of your idols. The sage will say that Elijah the righteous, the prophet, would search for those who were swollen with hunger in Jerusalem. He once found a child who was swollen with hunger and lying in the garbage. Elijah said to the child, from which family are you? The child said to him, I am from such and such a family. Elijah said to him, isn't there anyone left from that family? The child said to him, no one is left besides me. Elijah said to him, if I teach you something through which you will live, will you learn it? The child said to him, yes. Elijah said to him, say every day, listen, Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. So Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So Deuteronomy 6:4. The child said to him, and then we'll have to wait for tomorrow to hear the rest of it.